What do we want to have courage for? Where do we apply courage? Yes, and then what is the form of courage? When Baba says courage, what is courage? And when do we have to be courageous? So, there is this thing that today people talk about adventure and, jumping off a cliff or diving in the river or going into the jungle alone. So, is that the kind of courage that Baba is asking us to show? That's what we want to ask ourselves. So, I will tell you one incident, and there was this brother, and he said he was in Gyan, and so he used to listen to Baba's Murli, and then one day he called and he said, Didi, there is one relative of mine, and he says that he is being troubled by ghosts. So, there are ghosts troubling him. So, should I go and drive out the ghosts? So I said, and how will you do that? So he said, I will go there and then I will sit in Baba's remembrance and the ghosts will go away. And I said, who asked you to do that? So he said, no, I just had a thought that, he's being troubled, and since I am Baba's child, so no ghost can affect me. So I will go and just, so I said, so you will demonstrate to that friend of yours that you are Baba's child by doing this. So he said, yes, that's a good way. He will also understand that, God has so much power that the ghosts were driven away. So I said, I would not recommend that. And that's not where you show your courage or you challenge, anything. And you really don't know what's the issue there. And I would like you to, refer him to some kind of help, maybe psychological or something. So most ghosts are due to psychological issues. So they exist because you have a weak mind and you are not self-aware. So I told him, you refer him to a psychologist, or maybe, you could suggest them to do the course, but don't go into this. So you see, sometimes we have a very distorted idea of courage. But first thing is, where do we have to be courageous? So Baba says that, there is this area where you have a weak thought, and where weak thoughts come, weak thoughts emerge when there are difficult situations. And what is a difficult situation? So, any situation which is not allowing you to think peacefully and positively. So, if there is an act of mind that Baba has asked you to perform, what is the act of mind that Baba asks us to perform? So Baba says, you must always be in remembrance of Baba. And second thing is, your mind should always create positive, powerful, purposeful thoughts, and also thoughts that are full of good wishes and good feelings. And sometimes, Maya will just behave in a manner where you are not able to create these thoughts and you're not able to remember Baba. So, do you feel like that? Sometimes, you are in a situation where you want to have good wishes for somebody, but then somehow, you're not able to have the courage to have that. And the opposite of good wishes and good thoughts are coming, and then you are in a situation, and then you are not able to think positive or purposeful, and you are thinking, you are having the opposite kind of thoughts. So Baba says that is where you perform an act of courage, and it takes huge courage to win over Maya and to do the right thing. So Baba has prescribed the kind of thoughts we must take, the kind of acts we must do, the kind of through the mind, through the body, and through wealth. So there are three kinds of actions we perform: acts of mind, acts of the body, and acts performed through wealth. So Baba says, in all these acts, I have given you directions about what kind of acts to perform, what kind of acts to perform through the mind. So the mind in any situation must think with courage, must think, there has to be this feeling, this thought that I am going to be successful, no self-doubt, no weak thought. And then Baba says that for the others, there has to be good wishes and good feelings. And then the mind must always stay connected with Baba. The mind must never feel disconnected with Baba. So that's the Shrimat for the mind. And then, when there are weak thoughts which are surrounding the mind, then you have to have courage to win over those weak thoughts. Because there is this very simple thing about thoughts: if you think you can, you can; if you think you can't, you can't. So you just if you think that I cannot have good feelings for this person, then you can't. But if you just perform an act of courage that why can't I have think good feelings for this person? I am the child of the Master Bestower. I am the child of God. When my Father can always have good feelings and good wishes for everyone, why can't I? Yes, so if you just gather that courage to follow Shrimat that Baba sets for the mind, that's an act of courage. There are, I have usually noticed that sometimes souls will come to the center, and then, or they attend the online course or whatever, but when they come and they are asked that you may keep your mind still and turn your attention to God, then they would immediately say, I don't have focus, I don't have concentration, I can't sit still, I can't keep my mind still, I can't turn my attention to God. So then it's a law that if you say you can't, you can't. And there was particularly this one brother, and I kept telling him every day, you are a soul, your basic nature is stillness. Just allow yourself to be still. Have faith that I can be still. I can turn my attention to God, who's my Father. Why can't I remember my Father? What is difficult about it? But then he kept saying, no, I don't have stability. I cannot concentrate. I cannot concentrate. And he never accepted that he can do it. and then his journey was over. So, when you have a weak thought of the quality of I can't, you have to overcome that weak thought by creating a powerful thought. And that's an act of courage, and that is when, that is how you pull Baba's help. So, if you are able to perform this one act of courage, change your thought, then Baba will help you. And you will, even the situation which, because of which you are no, you think you can't think positive, that situation will also change. But in order to receive that help, you have to have this act of courage. And then I will tell you another thing, about acts of body. So, how to perform acts of body. So, Baba says that you must get up at Amrit Vela. And then, you again, everything starts with a thought. So, what thought do you create? So, sometimes, if you usually sleep at 10, and then it's 11:30 today because there was some seva or whatever, and then when you go to bed you create a thought, maybe I can't get up tomorrow early morning because maybe I'll be tired, or maybe I will need rest after that, and my timetable doesn't allow rest. So then that's when you give in to Maya. And what's an act of courage? Telling yourself that Amrit Vela is the time to wake up. So why can't I wake up at Amrit Vela? So even if I sleep late, that's not going to be compensated by late getting up. So these two are not connected, and Amrit Vela is the time to get up. So why can't I get up? So, about acts of the body, you have to have courage. And there's this sister, and she was sharing her experience yesterday. She told me that she was all alone at home, and the husband and the son and whoever else is in the family had gone away for some errand, and then she was alone for a good 6-7 days. And the day everybody went, the next day she fell ill. So the body fell ill, and she had acute sickness, and then she couldn't gather the courage to get up from the bed. And then she suddenly, she said, as these days I'm self-aware and I take notice of my thoughts. So suddenly I was aware that I was thinking that I'm alone and miserable. And she said that I just felt, that I'm alone and there's nobody to take care of me. And what's the point of having a family when there's nobody to take care of you when you're sick? And I have always taken care of everybody and there's nobody here. And then, she said that that thought was kind of weighing over me, and I started feeling that my body is getting much worse. So I was feeling more burdened, more sick because of that. And then I just sat on the bed and I told myself, why do you think you're alone? Baba is there with you. And then because Baba is there, Baba will do much more than any human could do in this situation. And you will get everything that you need because you're Baba's child and Baba is there to help you. So she said, sister, I went to the Bhandara, to the kitchen, and in remembrance of Baba, I just opened the fridge, and magically there was food and ingredients which I don't remember having kept also. She said, I don't remember. Maybe I was confused in the mind, or whatever you would call it, or you would call it Baba's magic. I don't know, but I don't remember keeping that bowl of boiled lentils or whatever, and it was there in the kitchen and in the fridge, and then I just heated it up properly and had some of it. And then she said that, and after eating that, I felt much better. And then I had the medicine for fever also there beside my bed, and I took it, and I could almost feel like, it didn't take a lot of strength to pull out anything or do anything. And I felt like, it's as effortless as somebody giving you medicines, or somebody, heating the food and giving it to you. So she said, I felt much better after that. And the best thing was, when I opened YouTube, then the first suggestions that came were of classes that made that made a lot of sense to me. And when I started watching those classes, then I felt like everything that Baba is trying to tell me through those classes was suddenly making so much more sense. It was making sense in a manner that it never made sense even when I'm in good physical health. And she said, suddenly I felt like, I'm connecting to Baba very well. And when I connected with Baba through the classes, then I started feeling Baba's love and presence and warmth also. And within 3 hours, I was good enough to, take care of myself and do some work also. So you see, this is an act of courage. So when you have weak thoughts about whatever Baba tells you to do through the body, so Baba has never told us that, you should be dependent on somebody, or you need 5 people to take care of your health or something. Baba says, you and I are enough. I will take care of you. But the thing is, when you have a weak thought about, I can't do this through the body, then it suddenly becomes a challenge. And then, Baba tells us to observe purity through the body. So, and do you know that when there is when there are acts of impurity performed through the body, then they become like a vicious cycle. And you need courage to break that cycle. So, there was this one sister, and she was sharing with me that she was in a relationship, and then she said, I came to Gyan and I wanted to just end that relationship because I had realized that it was just based on lust. And then she said that I want to end it, but I don't want to be harsh to the other person, because maybe they start blackmailing me or whatever. And I'm telling you very real incidents about how things are happening in the world. So she said that maybe this person starts troubling me, or they start blackmailing me, then what do I do? So I told her, no, you have to have courage. When Baba says that purity is a must, you just embrace that. You do it on Baba's Srimat, and Baba will help you. And then she just stopped every connection with that brother, and she said, she told him outright, I don't have anything to do with you. I'm not attending any of your calls. I'm not entertaining you anymore. And then this person said, okay, then I'll defame you in the whole world, and I will, put out things that will damage your image. And then she said, you do whatever you want to do. And then nothing happened. And she said, Didi, if I had not shown that courage, maybe I would have suffered all my life, or maybe because of that fear, I would never have come out of that vicious cycle of impurity. And then, and then she said, but later I thought, even if he did something, even if he had, gone one step ahead and done something, I asked myself in one situation, don't I have Baba's help and strength to deal with that also? What if some repercussion also comes? I will deal with it. And when I was okay for the worst, the best happened. And she said, when I think, when you are prepared for the worst, only the best happens. So she said that and that's how I broke that cycle of that impure relationship, and I came out of it. So these things are very important to understand, because when Baba says that this is your Shrimat for the body, so never perform acts of impurity through the body, never accept impure food through your mouth. So, even if there is a situation where you feel, that there is a lot of pressure or something, or there is unavailability. So there was this one time when somebody was sharing that they were in a place where they had absolutely no resource to cook anything. And they said that so it was a 5-day trip, and then it had suddenly got extended. So this person is a BK, and they had gone for a 1-day trip to somewhere and taken food with themselves. And then this trip got extended because there was a calamity in that place. So there was a lot of rain, and because of that they couldn't come back. It was a hill station, and there was no way to come back. So when they were stuck there, then there was no food to eat, and the hotel in which they were living, those hotel people were very happy because they have guests who have to stay longer and eat food there itself. And then this person, he said that, I don't accept food prepared by anybody. I will just have food cooked on my own. And he just didn't budge. He said, no, I will not have food anywhere. And he said, Baba, okay, if it's 5 days without food, I'll go without food. And even if there are no supplies of fruit and vegetable or salad, no problem. I'll stay hungry, but I will just manage. And then, suddenly there was this one person who was a part of the hotel management, and he happened to meet him, and he was also a BK. And then he understood the problem, and he allowed him into the hotel kitchen to cook. So he was allowed into the kitchen, given a place and where he could cook and eat. So you see that if there is an act of courage, so if you don't give in to weak thoughts about how can this happen, and this looks impossible, and maybe this time I will have to do something which is against Srimat. So if you don't give in to weak thoughts, then Baba helps. But first, you have to prove with your courage that you belong to Baba. And I will tell you my own experience. So, when I came into Gyan, and Baba started using me for seva, so at that time I was also not very strong-headed or no willpower, and didn't understand a lot. And at that time, there was this time when 4 or 5 things happened at a time, and I just felt like, leading a life of seva is becoming very difficult, too many challenges. And then I told Baba, Baba, I love you, but I don't know if I can handle your seva. So I just went to Baba's room and I said, Baba, I love you, but I don't know whether this is possible with me. And then suddenly, I had this kind of a vision where there is somebody who is drowning somebody, and there's this somebody pushing the other person into the water, and this person is fighting for his life, and he's using all his strength, and then he's able to defeat this one pushing him underwater and come out. And then, I felt like Baba is telling me, have you tried this much? Have you mustered this much courage as you would if your life was at stake? So, if your life is at stake, you would do so much. But when seva is at stake, then there are some challenges. You're giving into the challenges because it's about Baba's seva. But if it was about your life, then you would do much more. And in that moment, I felt like, I'm not using all my power of courage. And then I said, okay, Baba. So if you, if you'd say, okay, Baba, every time, Baba will just do everything and he will give you all the help you need. So I said, okay, Baba, so let me try a little more. And then I tried, and then things happened, and everything that looked so insurmountable and looked like such a big thing, it just went away in a second. And today when I look back, sometimes I wonder, there are so many times when you feel that the world will just fall apart and maybe I cannot go any further than this, and this is probably the end. This is what end looks like, and maybe there's no hope after this. But then when you look back, it looks like such a foolish thing to think at that time. And you cross that situation, and then it looks like, oh, if I had just given up at that time, I would be nowhere today. But because of that act of courage, and because Baba has taught us to have courage, maybe you are where you are today. And Baba says that, never give up on any Shrimad. Whenever there is a weak thought about the Shrimad that Baba gives about the mind or the body or about wealth, Baba says, use your wealth in seva. And sometimes, you have a weak thought, maybe if I use my wealth in seva, then this person will have an objection and they will be mad at me, or maybe I have only just enough to survive, then how can I use my wealth in seva? But when you take that step of courage, Baba will fill your, treasure house. I don't know, I cannot say 10 or 100 or how many times much more than you ever thought your treasure house could be full. And I always feel that Baba makes us do something. He gives us the courage, he gives us the resource to make our fortune also. But you just have to have that thought of courage. And if you just feel I cannot contribute to Baba's seva, then how will you create your fortune? And if you create this thought, why can't I contribute to Baba's seva? Everything anyways belongs to Baba. So when you contribute to Baba's seva, Baba will compensate you much more than you contribute. And Baba will also finish all the fears that are stopping you from using your wealth in seva. So Baba says that these are acts of courage. And Baba says that When you perform these acts of courage, then Baba helps you. And I think the biggest help that Baba gives to us is the help to be his helper. So, you perform the act of courage, you overcome your weak thought, you never say, I can't. You always say, I can. Why can't I? And you are totally committed to following Baba's Srimad. Then Baba will give you the help to be Baba's helper. And those who become Baba's helpers in Sangam Yuga. So when you perform acts of mind, body and wealth on Srimad, then you are becoming Baba's helper. And Baba says, those who become my helpers, what will I reward them with? So Baba says, in the final time, when everybody, when there'll be too much chaos outside, at that time, Baba will entertain us with beautiful visions. And do you know that in the time of partition, the yajna was in what is now Pakistan. Yes, so it was in Sindh, Hyderabad. And at that time, during the partition, we stayed all through the partition there. So the yajna moved to India in 1950. So Mount Abu became the headquarters in 1950. And all through the partition, we stayed there. And at that time, there was so much of bloodshed and everything. But do you know that all the members of the yajna, so all the dadis and mama, baba and the seniors and everybody, they never felt anything that was happening outside. They were always safe, and Baba always kept them busy in this sakshatkar, in this play of visions, where they used to just have visions about the golden age and the beauty of the golden age and the scenes and sceneries of the golden age. And they would be so entertained in that they never felt that there was a whole act of bloodshed going on outside. And after that, when things were calmer, then we moved to India. And that was also done on Baba's Srimad, so there was no other reason, but because Shiv Baba directed, we did it. So Baba says that I have shown you this scene earlier also, and if you perform acts of courage and if you become my helper in Sangam Yuga, and helping Baba means following Srimad at every step, keeping your mind busy in remembrance, your body busy in the dharana of purity, and your wealth busy in seva. And Baba says, that's how you will be my helper. And if you are my helper, then I will entertain you by showing you all these scenes and sceneries of the golden age in the final time. And the final time is a very important time, because the final moments will decide where we will go from here. So what position we will take. And if our mind is in a good space, so if we are happy and we are joyful and our intellect's yoga is connected with Satyug, because Baba is showing us all the sceneries of Satyug at that time, then when we leave the body, we will go directly to Satyug. So Baba says, this is one help I will give to those who are my helpers. And then second thing Baba says is, if you have this deep dharana that mine is one Shiv Baba and none other, then you will receive my help in the final moments. So have you heard that story in Bhakti? It's a very interesting story that, once there were people of all faiths on the boat, and then the boat started to sink, and then there was this person who practiced Islam, and he said, Allah, please come to me. So he only called to Allah, so Allah came and helped him. And then there was this person who practiced Christianity, and he said, Jesus, come and help me. So Jesus came and took him away. And then there was this person who practiced Hinduism, and then he called out to many all at once. So, he would keep calling because there's so many deities. He kept calling to everybody. And then those deities also started getting confused that he's calling to you, or maybe he's calling to me, or whatever. And they couldn't decide who should go and help. So he just drowned. So this is a very interesting story. And Baba says, this is why you must have one Baba and none other. And if you have only one Baba in your heart, and maybe not other deities, but if you're just asking for help, like in the scripture, Draupadi keeps asking for help to all her husbands and only remembers God at the end. She doesn't go to God to seek help. So Baba says that don't become that person who keeps remembering other bodily beings and not me. So if you have this deep dharana, mine is one Baba and none other, then I will help you in the final moments. And how do you have this deep dharana? So now you have to check in this time, who do you think about first? Who do you talk to first? Who do you do everything for first? So when you do anything, you buy something, do you buy for Baba first? When you do something, do you remember Baba first? When you are in little troubles, do you remember Baba first? When you have any good news to share, do you share it with Baba first? Yes, so you have to ask yourself, who is first? And if Baba is first now, then in the final moments also you will remember Baba and Baba will help you. Okay, Om Shanti.